Hello Aries, Aries Rising and Aries Moon people. This is your monthly astrological horoscope for June 2017. And I got a special announcement for all y'all out there. If you are interested, you should get ready on the 10th. Saturday the 10th at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, US and Canada. I'm going to be actually on a special little guest spot on Nadiya Shah's channel. She's a fabulous astrologer. A lot of you already know who she is. And it's going to be an awesome interview. We're going to be chatting all kinds of fun stuff with astrology and tarot and spiritual practice. And so mark that on your calendars, and I'll put some more information, of course, in the down bar, as I always do. And of course, if you ever want to get a session with me, you can go to my website, integrativemysticism.com. So what is going on with your astrology this week? And it looks like Rambo just loves the Aries people, because you know what, he only shows up for the Aries signs. I don't know why. Maybe he's an Aries. He's always he chooses Aries to show up and make his appearance. He's always down by the time we go to Leo, but you know, as soon as he gets into Aries, he's like, nope, I'm up here and we're going to chat. So, what's going on this month? Well, this month, Aries, interestingly enough, has got a lot of good on it, a lot of ease on it. But we are getting into one of those periods, as you know, I've mentioned it before 1,000 times. Every once in a while we get into those 2-month periods where the signs all have, you know, I mean, all the planets are kind of grouped up in certain areas of our chart, you know, and they kind of occupy one area. And that seems to be a big theme going into June. And it all starts on the 4th. We've got Mars, planet of action, energy, and conviction, moving into your 4th house of home and family. And Mars going into the 4th house can be, you know, can create an interesting theme, because it kind of brings some good and some stress at the same time. And from the 4th, you know, well up into, you know, late July, you know, you might be noticing both. Usually with Mars in the 4th house, let's talk about the good. It's a great time for those of you who are home buyers, especially. Mars tends to benefit the buyer when it comes to negotiations, when purchasing a home, whereas Venus works more with the seller. So sellers, if you're kind of like, wait, what about me? Don't worry, you've got that coming up at the end of July. But with Mars in the 4th house, you know, it does benefit, again, the buyer negotiating a price that's, you know, more for you. We also see Mars in the 4th house of home and family, creating opportunities for closer bonding in immediate communities. Alright, whether it's getting tighter with your immediate family, your blood relatives, or even getting tighter with your neighbors, and even actually working on maybe hammering some things out, you know, clearing the air with some folks that, you know, there's been some tension. Now, sometimes that can be stressful, because Mars can also bring up some fights that need to happen, so that may be a theme that also goes on throughout the month of June. Just remember, these things do need to happen. You know, you can't really have peace if there's, you know, we can't have space or hold space if there's an elephant in the room. And so, you know, it's important to pay attention to that. Too many people try to hold space with an elephant in the room, and it never lasts, it never works out. On the 6th, we've got Venus, planet of love, harmony, favor, and fortune, moving into your earned income sector, where she will be all the way through the rest of the month. So, from the 6th on. Remember, Venus is the planet of harmony, and it is the planet of favor and popularity. And usually with Venus in the earned income sector, we see easy opportunities for money. Easy opportunities to actually boost our income through either easy jobs, or possibly even getting paid more money for doing the same thing we already do. Whether you're trying to negotiate a raise, or you're raising your rates, you're going to notice a lot of good reception, a lot of easy opportunities to, again, you know, earn more without having to necessarily do more. And those opportunities are coming up. It could be a new job, doing the same thing for a company that pays you more, or maybe, again, even negotiating a way to raise your rates or get more from what you do where you are without having to go anywhere. We also have Mercury moving into your 3rd house of communications, pacts, and promises on the 6th, where he will be up until the 21st. And remember, Mercury tends to speed things up and catch things up wherever he goes. Now, if we have any outstanding promises, pacts, communications, paperwork, paper pushing, assignments, issues that have been kind of procrastinated, taking too long to process, whether they have to do with school, they have to do with, you know, again, business negotiations, they have to do with anything that you might be trying to publish, you're trying to grow a website, you're trying to promote yourself. You know, Mercury is going to be making up for a lot of lost time during this energy. During this period between the 6th and the 21st, you may be noticing a rapid payoff You know, it may not seem self-evident right now. You might be thinking, oh, Nico, it's taken 1,000,001 frickin' years. I just don't think it's going to happen. Let me vent my jaded self. However, be prepared to be pleasantly surprised. On the 9th, we've got a full moon in Sagittarius in your 9th house of, again, more publishing, more broadcasting, but this actually expands. This pushes energy out even farther than the 3rd house. This is also an energy that governs government legal proceedings, your higher education, as well as legal permits, visas, and things like that. And this full moon's going to bring a culminating energy to this side of your chart. You know, if, again, anything has been taking too long, you're trying to get a work visa, you're trying to actually maybe do some international traveling, maybe actually work on any kind of connections that maybe connect you with other people abroad, long-distance business relationships, romantic relationships, anything that's going to bridge the gap between you and someone or something far away in proximity, we're shrinking that gap with this full moon between the 9th and the 23rd. We've also got Jupiter going direct on the 9th in your 7th house of committed partnerships, your closest one-on-one relationships. Remember, this is your boyfriend, girlfriend, your BFF, your business partner, your roommate, all the people you spend your closest one-on-one time with. And with Jupiter retrograde, it wasn't necessarily bad, but you and this partner, you and this person have had kind of been spending a lot of time since January making less work. Okay, whether it's less time, less resources, less availability, you know, we've been trying to make less work, because with Jupiter retrograde, we try and find hidden treasure in our own backyard. You know, being a bit more simple, being a bit more, you know, cutting back a lot in how much time and energy we try and put into the relationship, looking for quality instead of quantity. But when Jupiter goes direct, we get quantity and quality if we learn the lesson of the 5-month retrograde. You know, and a lot of people do. You know, it's you know, 5 months of learning a lesson. A lot of people learn that lesson. And with Jupiter going direct, you know, again, you may even be noticing opportunities for partnerships and for love actually becoming a little bit more abundant around you. Some of you got to pay attention. Be careful during this time, a lot of you single Aries people out there, because you may find yourself in a situation where you're finding good candidates a lot. Okay, when we talk about a lot, I mean, you know, it's not about choosing between the good and the bad. It's like choosing between the good and the good, for those of you who are single and looking. And that's going to be a recurring theme, you know, throughout June through October. And the lesson sometimes with Jupiter is to learn how to take a chance, you know, to make sure that you can actually trust your luck. If you've got a lot of good opportunities, the last thing you want to do is procrastinate until they whittle down, because sometimes they all go at once. Luckily, they won't be going on anywhere this month, but, you know, I always like to kind of give that lesson out. On the 16th, we've got Neptune going retrograde in Pisces, in your 12th house, your past, your privacy, your hidden zone. And Neptune's going to be retrograde all the way up until, you know, the end of November. Okay, so it's another long retrograde. But Neptune retrograde is not a bad retrograde, in the least. Okay, because what happens with Neptune retrograde is there's kind of a sobering up of whatever house that it's in. There's clarity, alright? I always equate this to taking off rose-colored glasses and putting on X-ray specs, or taking off the tunnel vision goggles and putting on the X-ray specs. And over the next 5 months, we're going to be revisiting our past in a very interesting way. It's the 12th house, and almost seeing people, events, you know, and occurrences that, as they truly are, you know, maybe stories that we thought were true are not true. We may be proven right, we may be proven wrong, but it is an interesting way to go about finding closure. Because this is the 12th house, a lot of this can do with also learning secrets about people that came before us. You know, this could be stories about our parents that change our views of our parents for better or for otherwise. Stories about our grandparents, stories about our ancestry, also stories about our childhood. And it should be a very interesting, you know, road to go down, because getting that clarity is actually the key to putting things into proper perspective in the present and seeing things for how they really are and were, and how are we going to deal with them with all the resources that we have now when we didn't before Neptune turned retrograde. On the 21st, we've got the Sun entering Cancer, your 4th house of home and family, at the same time that Mercury is moving into Cancer, your 4th house of home and family. So now we're getting that roving gang group energy in the planets. And on the 23rd, we've even got a new moon in this area, in this 4th house. And a lot of you Aries people may actually be on the move. Okay, with Mercury going into the 4th house, you know, this actually does speed up opportunities for everybody who's looking for a change in their living situation to have it between the 21st of this month, well going into the first few weeks of July. You know, if you have been feeling stagnant, if you have been having a hard time doing the house hunting, finding the right spot, finding a place that's compatible with where you work or where you want to work, you know, all of these loose ends are going to get tied up by Mercury and this new moon. The Sun is going to be doing something a little bit different. Okay, the Sun is going to be working on the healing element. And again, this big focus on going back and patching things up with relatives, patching things up with our kids, healing issues or frayed wires that could be going on in familial or household settings is going to be a big theme as well. And testing everyone's resolve to actually have that good, peaceful situation. But luckily the Sun always does it with love and with positivity, and it's all about trying to get more out of the relationships that are there. So I hope you Aries people found this helpful, and you Aries rising people as well. And if it's not obvious, I mean to say, check your rising sign when I always make that point. If you ever want to get a session with me, you can go to my website, integrativemysticism.com, or you can just follow the links below. And thanks a lot for liking, sharing, and subscribing once again. You know I appreciate it. I'll talk to you later.